What up guys, Sumel983 here bringing you another album review. And I know it's been a fair while since I've done a video, but stuff's been going on in my life and I haven't really had the time or motivation to do a video in a while. I know I've recently uploaded a video, but yeah, it's just over the past couple of months, and now that the UK is in lockdown, I feel like it's a good time to blast out some reviews and keep myself from going insane, should we just say. But yeah, anyway, let's get on with the review. But today I'm going to be reviewing the debut album from Viscera entitled Obsidian. This is out now via Unique Leader Records. Now, if you're not too familiar with Viscera, they are a new technical deathcore band hailing from the UK, and it's kind of a supergroup, features former members, and I've got the list right here, former members of Heart of a Coward, Osiris, Abhorrent Decimation, Martyr Defiled, Nerve Cell, and Surfaces, coming together to form a new band of absolute brutality, if you ask me. Now, obviously, as you know, I get promos from Unique Leader Records of their upcoming releases, and this was the one that I had no means of, like, you know, of what they were going to sound like or anything like that, but I was really hyped for when they were going to drop this album, because featuring the members like Jamie from Heart of a Coward, or formerly of Heart of a Coward, for example. I absolutely love his vocal range and was glad to see that he was back in a band, and especially in a more technical, fast-paced death metal, deathcore sort of project. I knew that it was going to be something very special. And then I got the promo from Unique Leader Records, and honestly enough, I can say this straight away from the get-go, and it may be a little bit of a spoiler before the end, but what can you do? But I will safely say this right now, that this is, so far, we're into April now, and this is so far standing at the top of my top albums of 2020, because this album I honestly cannot turn off and be in awe every time I listen to it. I mean, this is absolutely incredible stuff. This is not just your run-of-the-mill technical death metal or deathcore project. This is something a lot more refined and a lot more powerful, if you ask me. I mean, this is, like, I've listened to a lot of tech death over the years, and a lot of it sounds the same old samey wankery, and there's no like X factor to it. It's just kind of a lot of showing off factor to it, whereas this one feels more refined and a lot more dynamic in its songwriting, and it just has some catchier moments, some really powerful blistering moments, but all in all, it is such a catchy album to listen to, if you ask me. Like, from the minute I stuck on this album, which the first song, if I'm not mistaken, is called Delilah. Yeah, Delilah. You know instantly that this is going to be a powerful prowess album to listen to. I mean, from the minute I heard that song, and I was literally in awe just listening to it, at the whole production value as well behind this album. I mean, it is so refined in its sound. Like, every instrument sounds very tight and locked in with each other, and everything sounds, the best way I could describe the overall feel and overall, well, just feelings that this album gives me. It's kind of like they say on their Facebook, that they take elements from modern technical death metal, but then merge that with the likes of a bit of Pantera in there, a bit of Killswitch Engage, amongst other bands, to really make them stand out in the death metal world. Let's use that as a bit of a broad term, because this is not just a straight up chug fest of deathcore. This is more to it than that, and that's where I think when an album has a little bit of a different factor to it that really stands out, that's when I know it's a fucking good album. And this one is definitely one of those really good albums, and it's just a fun album to listen to. Like, I've recently got a car, and it's one of my go-to albums to listen to when I'm on the road. Obviously with lockdown, it's obviously I'm not going anywhere, it's just to and from work, but honestly, when I stick this album on, it raises my spirits, and I'm not going to work to, you know, get infected and all that. But honestly, every time I listen to this album, it puts a smile on my face, and it makes us just, it's definitely one of the better UK death metal records I've heard in a long fucking time, if you ask me. But yeah, the album itself is 9 tracks and runs around 36 minutes in length, and I'd say that is a perfect length for this album, because every song in itself doesn't sound like the other one. It has the same formulas, but it doesn't sound anything like each other. It flows very well, track to track, and it just doesn't let up. There's some meaty riffs on here. There's some really technical elements on here just to give it a bit of flavour, and that's what the tech parts on this album are definitely doing. The more sprinkling the album rather than making the album just tech for the sake of being tech. It's actually very fucking well written, if you ask me. So yeah, Delighted, the first track, was absolutely amazing. And then the second track, which is a song I believe they released a music video for, which is called Immersed in Ire. And that one for me is definitely one of my favourite songs on this album, if you ask me. It's such a powerful song, and it's really intense. And I think a lot of that comes from the band themselves, but also the guest appearance from Ben Mason, as we know from Bound in Fear, and he is an absolute monster low vocal. He's definitely one of the best low vocalists or low-end vocalists in the UK today, and he's just got so much presence in his voice, and it just sounds absolutely incredible, if you ask me. Lamster's Slaughter, like, that one, it kind of makes you realise of the chorusy elements that are on this album, like the sort of half screams that Jamie does. Like, most of his range sounds very much half scream, but that's what sets him apart, in my opinion, when it comes to other vocalists in metal, if you ask me. And it just sounds so catchy and so powerful, and it just makes your hair stand. It makes my hair stand on end, like, every time I listen to it. I just think it's just so immersive to listen to. It draws you in, and it's just incredible, and the lyrics are absolutely fantastic as well. Carpe Noctem, I believe how it's pronounced. I'm not very good at pronunciation, as you know, and I say it in every review. But yeah, that song features Scott Kennedy of Bleed From Within, and that is another absolutely incredible song that has a bit more of a choir-esque to the chorus, which really puts me in mind a bit of like Dimmu Borgir, for example. So that epic atmosphere, and that is scattered throughout this album. Not the choir elements, but the epic atmosphere on like the choruses and stuff. Definitely, as I said, emanate well on this album. And yeah, what follows that one? Your phone's just gone off. Affliction, another fantastic song. That was definitely more aggressive song, just to really keep the energy up. Absolutely love that one. I think every track on this album, I might as well add, sticks out like a sore thumb, and it's definitely one of the best track for track albums I have heard this year, and it's absolutely fantastic. Hammer and Nails, another fantastic one on here. Lilith, once again, incredible. Obsidian is an absolute anthem, and it fits the album title, if you ask me. So if you want just to encapsulate what this album's about, then listen to the title track. And that's what I think title tracks are meant to do. They're meant to be like, this is what the album's going to sound like. And that one, in my opinion, perfectly encapsulates the whole feel of this album. It's absolutely incredible, if you ask me. And then the final track, Silentium, I believe how it's pronounced, features 2 guest spots this time, but this one's a bit more of a relentless, fast-paced one, but it's still ridiculously heavy, and I think that's brought upon by the 2 guest spots that are on this track, which is Kyle Anderson of Brand of Sacrifice, who you know I absolutely adore. Brand of Sacrifice, God Hand is just such a good album. But yeah, his monstrous low vocals on that track, when it comes in, you just like hyping up when it gets in there, and then it kicks in, following that up with Ricky Lee Roper from Osiris laying down some guest spots, which those 3 together is just a recipe for disaster, if you ask me. It's just in the best possible way, might as well. It's a recipe for destruction, man. It's just absolutely incredible, and wow, what an album this is to listen to. The production, the guitar work is so clean and so well written. The bass work, absolutely fantastic following those guitars. Relentless drum work and absolute groove when it needs to be. And those powerful vocals from Jamie. What's not to love about this album, honestly? And the guest spots, more than make it, if you ask me. And this, if the guest spots weren't on there, this album would still be my album of the year, but the guest spots just amped it up just that little bit more, if you ask me. And quite frankly, it is an absolute delight to listen to. In my opinion, songs that you need to check out are Immersed in Ire, Lamb to the Slaughter, and Obsidian. Definitely check out those 3 tracks. There is a stream up on Unique Leader's YouTube channel. I'll leave a link down below as well as to the Bandcamp. Make sure you pick up this album. It's absolutely fantastic. And surprise, surprise, I'm going to give this album a solid 10 out of 10. This is absolutely fantastic. The best album so far in 2020. And you need to hear it. Remember, links down below. And I've got more reviews coming in the upcoming future with this lockdown. And I can't really do an awful lot except for do videos. So I'm going to try and pick up the pace a little because I've got quite a few albums to talk about. As for updates and purchases, they're going to be on the hold for now until I can, you know, unpack my CDs and stuff, which might take a while after lockdown, but we'll see what happens in the upcoming future. But remember, stay metal, and I'll see you later.